Port to this computer. Hi everyone. Can you see that it's recording? Can someone give me a thumbs up? Okay, I see a thumbs up from Nick. It's being recorded. So I have a question for you guys, right? I'm gonna do hold on, where's the so I'm gonna do module 6A today. I'm gonna do the database, just the database today. But how many of you want me to do module 6B recorded online so that you guys can get a head start on project 2B this week? I can record it and post it so that you won't have lecture next week because it's a spring break, and then you won't have lecture a week after that because it's already done. So how many of you want that so that it's a head start for you guys? Give me okay. So Christopher said yes. So yeah, I see a couple of 2, 3 students, and it's up to you, right? It's not like I'm saying you have to work in your spring break. If you need a break, you have more than sufficient time this week and next week. If you not next week, but this week. And if you work on it the week after that, you have more than enough time to finish it. But if someone wants to say like, hey, I want to make some progress. I want to make some progress while I am in my spring break as well. Then I can upload the video. So I'm not gonna do that right now in this class. I'm not gonna do 6B today along with 6A. It's going to be a pretty long lecture. It's going to be 3 hours lecture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do lecture module 6A today, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to record 6B and put it on Canvas. And then what is that going to do is you're not going to have any lecture next week because it's spring break, and then you're not going to have any lecture a week after that. So all the questions will be on Piazza, right? So with that said, okay, so some guys have shown interest, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So let's get started. Some questions that I've got about Project 2A is with the date. Please look at the book. I think the book might have done it, but please research on that. If the book hasn't done it, please research on that. Actually, I'll let you guys figure that out. Um, and then another thing is the reflection count. There's a hint about the reflection count in the last slide of module 5B. So please look at that. Another thing is updating the text. I gave you some hint in the beginning of this class is you have to update the text using what similar to what's done in the book. But on top of that, you also need to add the entries back to that dream model because it's going to do some weird stuff, right? So please do that and try that, and I think that should solve the issue, right? So those were the 2, 3 questions that I got from the students. Mostly, some students are getting some other issues like a project not running, different things. And I'm trying to help you be helpful with that. Also, please go to the office hours, right? Please get help from your TAs. I think there's like about 30 hours of office hours at least every week, and I think that's more than sufficient with all the hints that I'm giving in the class, right? So, but please don't try to fish the solution out of the TAs, right? I mean, the things that I have left you guys is for you guys to learn, and um, I know you guys have, I've done a lot of in class, but if you look at it, Project 2B, so let me show you guys. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, so can someone give me a thumbs up? You guys see a screen here? Okay, Chiti says yes. Um, okay, so you see my screen then. So what I want you guys to, sorry, so what I was talking about is for Project 2B, I'll be giving you hints on phase 1 and phase 2, but I won't be giving hints on phase 3. This is all on your own. Like you guys are gonna have to figure this out using the book. And I think the book does a pretty good job. And the hints in the assignment page, you have to figure it out yourself. I'm not going to be giving any hints. If you ask me in Piazza, I'll tell you the same thing. If you ask me specific questions, of course, I can help you. But you guys will be more independent as the class goes on, right? So I'll be giving hints on phase 1 and phase 2, but not phase 3, right? You'll have to read the book on chapter 14 on dialogues. Figure it out yourself. There's a question here. Yeah, Project 2A was due on Monday. Yes, that's correct. And you still have the 48 hours extension, right? So, okay, another thing is with Project 2C, there are 8 things you need to do. So project 2C, I'll be doing maybe 4 of these, right? Not in order, but I'll just jump around and help whichever is to help you with some techniques, right? But after you got the techniques, maybe 2 of these are similar, then you will be doing yourself. So the point of this, what I'm sharing this is the more you get into this class, the more independent you're going to be, right? In project 3, I'll let you guys do even more because I want you guys to learn yourself as well, right? In this class. So you guys will be doing more in project 3, right? But I hope you guys are seeing a pattern is that, okay, yeah, I'm learning from the lectures, but also like I'm figuring some things out of my own, and you guys are going to do a lot more, right? So, but again, I'm here to help, but I'm not going to give you the whole solution. But again, with some specific questions, after you read the book, feel free to ask me those questions, right? All right, so let's look at this. So we are in project 2B today, but let's go through the slides for the database. Any questions before I move on with the slides? We're just going to do a quick overview of the theory for databases, and I think it will make more sense after I actually start writing the code with the databases as well. It can get quite confusing. I think this is one of the chapters, like I'm glad I'm doing the lecture because it can be quite confusing because the crime database that you're making in the book is slightly different than what you'll be doing in this exercise, right? So let me stop the share, actually turn off my camera. I am a little bit hesitant to show my face while I'm writing the code. All right. I just want to show you guys that I'm not ChatGPT. All right, so let's share the screen. Let me know if you can see the screen now. So no questions, right? So let's get started then. No questions. You guys can see recording. That's the first thing. I don't want all of my work to go in vain if I don't like record all this slides and the live coding, right? So can you guys see the lecture slide again? I know I keep on asking you guys. I just want to make sure. I don't want to record something that's me talking, but I'm sure you guys are. Let me know. All right, so not sure. Sorry, I keep on doing this. Slideshow. Okay. Welcome everyone. This is lecture. I don't know what lecture this is actually. This is module 6, part 1, and it's going to be about databases. So remember, so far what you've done is you've basically created like you hard coded, right? You've just looped through something and then just basically fetch the data from the view model, right? We're going to change that today. We're going to actually fetch the data from the database, right? We're going to do that, and it's going to be actually what you would do in the real world, right? In the real world, you won't be hard coding this stuff. You'll have a database, or you will insert into the database, right? So this is what we're going to do today. And so SQLite in Android built-in database. Android comes with SQLite as a default database system. Database files for each app are stored in, excuse me, can someone turn off their audio, please? Thank you. You guys know this, right? I've been mad a couple of times in the class. So please turn off the sound. Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, so database files for each app are stored in the app's internal storage, ensuring isolation and security between apps, right? But there are some limitations of this, right? So the limitation is, you will see this limitation today actually. So it can handle integer, text, real, blob, all this stuff, but you will see that we need to use something called a type converter today for date and time. It doesn't have something for date and time, right? So that has to be converted. So that is some limitation, right? Performance concern. Accessing the database is a relatively slow operation. Performing database operation on the main thread can block the UI, causing the app to become unresponsive, right? So what do I mean by this, right? So you say, like, you go to Facebook and say sign up, and then you put your information, your phone number, right? And then say, for example, or maybe that's not a very good example because you do need that to be stored. So never mind, another example. You're writing a blog post, right? And then you add your blog, your title, whatever you add in the blog, and then you just click on it, and it just waits all the way until everything has been stored. Maybe it has some very high quality pictures, right? That can get quite slow. So there's a concept of threads in computer science, right? And specifically if you've done, I don't know what class teaches this, maybe it's in systems. Um, when I was attending undergraduate, I had this class called Design of Large Programs. And in that class, they taught us about threads. So in thread, what basically thread is it's um, there's the main thread in your computer that is running the main application. But if you want something running on the side, um, then that is done in a separate thread, right? So that's the simple way I can explain it, right? So for example, you want to put those things in the database, like your blog and the pictures. It's doing it in the side, and it can immediately return to the home page, right? And it might not have been uploaded, right? And it might say like still pending, your upload is still pending in the home page. After it's done, it can say upload completed, right? So that's being done in the background, and that's called thread, right? So it has to be done in the thread so that the app can, so app has to be responsive, so it has to be done in the thread. And that's what we're going to learn today. And actually, so this is what is encouraged to perform, right? And actually, we're not going to do like, actually in my undergrad, when I took that class, the design of large program, we had to do everything from scratch. We had to ensure thread safety. We had to think about race conditions. We had to think about like even networking with threads. So it was a very complicated class actually. But in this class, you guys are a little bit lucky that you won't be doing any of that. Everything will be handled by this thing called coroutines, and it simplifies a lot of that for you guys. And I'll be helping you guys with that, right? So it's not going to be too complicated, I would say. Everything is managed by this coroutine. But I think it's good to learn about that. If you take the systems or whatever class you take, I think it's good to learn about those threads. And it is a different way of programming, and it takes some time to get the hang of that, right? So let's look at this. So for this class, we'll be using this called Room Library. To address these challenges, Google introduced the Room Library in 2017. It abstracts much of the complexity involved in working with the database, this SQLite, providing the following features. So we'll work with this Room Library a little bit. It's also pretty intuitive. Asynchronous operation. Room automatically executes database operations on the background thread, which we're going to see. This avoids blocking the main thread and ensures smooth UI operation, right? So, and there are some annotations that you need to use in this room operation. Entities in the database, you have to name this as entities, type converters. I'll show you guys what this is while I'm coding this. Say you want to, because I told you guys, right, it can't handle the date, so it has to be converted to text, and it's through the type converters. It also has the data access object DAO interfaces that abstract classes link Kotlin functions to SQL operation. This is pretty cool, actually. I'll show you guys how to do the insert, update, delete, and even query some stuff, right? So I'll show you guys how to work with this. Transaction, bundle multiple operation into an atomic transaction. So for example, for some cases, you can't query the thing that you're looking for, that what Kotlin is looking for. So you have to make a transaction. So I'll show you guys one transaction, how to do that today. I don't think the book does this, so I think this lecture is going to be a valuable resource for you to finish your project to be. Schema management. Room can pre-populate the database with initial data if none exists. Supports version control with migration. You know what? I'm not going to go too much into this. I don't think we'll care too much about this in this class, right? If you have done programming language such as, I don't know, Node.js or Ruby or Laravel, I think you will see something like this schema management, right? And migrations. But I'm not going to talk about this. I think you'll just use as is, right? So I'll briefly talk about this. But if anyone is interested, of course, you can research more on this. But we're not going to talk too much about this in this class. Not in the scope of this course, right? So live data updates supports Flow from Kotlin, enabling real-time updates. Client of the database automatically receive the most recent data without polling. I'll show you guys what this is in the class today. I'll even show you how, I'll show you like how this actually works, right, in detail. Anyways, Room compile time verification, SQL syntax during compile time, reducing runtime errors. However, it doesn't guarantee the logic of the query is correct, right? So yeah, so I think this is straightforward. Why use Room reduces boilerplate code for database operation, enhances safety with compile time checks. You also do threading and synchronization, provides modern Android features like flow integration. And this flow is pretty cool. I'll show you in the lecture today how this works. All right, so let's move to live coding. Hold on, so let me see, where is my lecture 7? Lecture 7. Lecture 7, where is that? That's the lecture that I'm writing the code on today. Okay, I think I found it here. Can you guys see the Android Studio, just in case? Lecture 7. Can you guys see the Android Studio? Yes. Okay, Nick says yes. So that means I'm going to move on. So this is all the code that I wrote the last lecture. I'm just going to do a little bit of project 2A, maybe like one more hint. I think I'm just going to do the reflection count. And then we will move on to 2B, right? And I think that's going to be more exciting, and the class is going to get more exciting as we move forward. So let's do 6. So where are we? Let me look at the activity main first. What do we have? Do we have the dream list or the dream detail? So, okay, we have the dream detail, right? So let's make this dream list. I want to do something with dream list. Fragment dream list. Let me run the code actually. Make sure everything, like I haven't opened the Android Studio today, so hopefully this works. Excuse me, I'm drinking some water here. Oh, I don't want to uninstall the app. Go back. Still running, okay. Excuse me, I'm just drinking some water here. So we'll do some reflection count today. I think I didn't do that last lecture. So first of all, let's look at, I think I already added that in the dream list. Just look at the design. Put this away. Yeah, so the reflection is already here. That's good. I'm still catching up to what I need to do here right now. So just give me a second. Okay, so I think this was done. This is running right now. So first of all, we need to do this, right? Let's go to string.xml in the values to do the string, to do the reflection count, right? And this was given in the hint, right? So I don't think I left you guys in the dark. It was not like, oh, no, like, what is this? Like, I've never seen this before. I think I've done this before, right? So we just do reflection count. And then, and even this was given in the reflections. And we do, I think this hint was given in the last slides of the class. So it's not there, right? You don't see the reflection right now, but we're going to put it, right? So we'll do this and do %$d. So this was given in the class. We will skip this for now. And then what we need to do is we need to go to dream adapter. So you see, remember, that's where I need to put the stuff related to the list. And for the reflection count is you need to do something a little bit unusual, and this was in the hint as well. Again, I haven't left you in the dark, right? So list reflection count dot text. That's like Android text, right? That's where we need to add this stuff, and you need to do something like binding. So you want to get something from the strings.xml, right? So we'll do get string, and then you need to add a couple of things here. r.string.reflection count. That is basically accessing reflection count, this thing, right? That's what I'm accessing. That's all that is doing. Now we need to add something here, right? So this number, there has to be some number here, right? So to replace that, what we need to do here is we simply need to do dream.entries.count. And remember, we're just using functional programming, right? This is why I taught you guys functional programming in the beginning of this class. It's so easy, right? Everything is you just say count, dream entry, reflection. You just count the number of reflections you have, right? Some people simply did dream entry dot size or something like that, right? That's going to give you the wrong answer. You're going to have to count the number of the reflection, right? So let's look at this. Let's see if this helps. That basically solves project 2A phase 2, right? I'm not going to solve the rest of the phase 2A. I'll let you guys figure that out. So yeah, this basically gives you all the reflections. You see how many reflection it has, and that's it. That's the phase 2, and then we're done with this. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on with, this is the end of project 2A. You have to work a little bit on dream detail, but overall we finished most of it, right? So now we're gonna start working on the database, right? So database is gonna be interesting. Let me close all of this stuff. Close all of this stuff. I don't need any of this stuff. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a package here. How do I create a package here? Package. Database. Call it database. And this is where we're going to store all the backend code with all the database stuff, right? The first thing we're going to create is we're going to create a dream database, actually. Let's create a dream database, and this will manage a lot of the stuff. Dream database. Okay, so let's just leave it at that for now. And then I told you guys this thing called Room, right? That was created by Google. So we need to update a little bit on this. Actually, I'm sorry. I think we need to start. Yeah, there's something we need to do before we do any of the coding today. We actually need to go to project 2B. Again, it's difficult to do this live coding stuff. It can get quite tricky. All right, so first of all, we need to change our Gradle file. So just go to this project 2B and copy this and go to your Gradle file. And then you need to replace this with that, right? You need to add some more stuff here. And then I'll let you guys look at the comments, what you guys are adding. Also, you need to add this room and all this stuff here. I'll let you guys look at the new stuff that I added. So basically copy and then just paste it. Basically, it will have everything for project 2B and 2C, right? So 2B testing, and 2C. Okay, so now I want to sync this. I need to sync all of this first. It's not going to work if I don't sync it. Sorry, I should have maybe done all of this before the lecture, but maybe it will help you guys also like follow along with me, right? So that's one more thing. What else do I need to do? I think that might be it. Yeah, hopefully that's it. It's still configuring the project, right? So I can't do anything right now without a Gradle file synced well. Okay, I think it's done. Hopefully it's done. Still giving me some issues here, but I think it's gonna go away. All right, I think it's done. Gradle, remember, this is the first thing you wanna do before you start 2B. Don't do 2A and 2B together. After you're done with 2A, just make a copy of it and put it separately, right? So this is what you want to do for the rest of the semester. Every time you finish something small, please make a copy of it and put it on the side, right? Or if you use GitHub, actually make a private GitHub, right? I don't want you guys to sharing your code with the rest of the world, right? So, all right, so let's go to this dream.kd. And maybe we do need to, actually, yeah, we do need to download this stuff. Yeah, sorry about that. I should have done all of this stuff before. Maybe this does help you guys though. So download that. Where's another download? So download Dream Database. Download that as well. So what you want to do is remove this Dream or replace it. What you want to do is dream.kd. I'm just going to copy and paste it here. And then overwrite, yes. Now I'll explain what that is doing here. The dream.database, which I will do later, right? So basically, it's going to use this room plugin that has been given, right, for this database. And then this is going to put this dream as a table now in the database, right? So this is basically what it is doing. And it's going to create a separate table for dream entry. So it's going to be two different table. It's going to be in the same file, but it does have two different table, right? Another thing you notice here is a couple of more things, right? You see that the primary key has been added to this val ID UIUD, right? So this primary key basically saying this is the main ID that recognizes the database, right? So if you have done database SQL, you will see that the primary key is given to this unique numbers, right? It has to be unique. Same with this. This is also given a primary key for the entry ID, right? And another thing is we're doing ignore, right? So the database is simply going to ignore these entries for now. It's just ignoring just this, right? It's not ignoring everything. It's just ignoring this. So that's all it's doing, right? So that's and the main difference that you will see why I'm even bothering to make this lecture is in the book you only have the crime database. But the difference in this project is going to be we have two databases, right? I mean, two tables, right? It has the dream entry and the dream table. So these are the two tables that are here, right? So just that is the complexity of this project a little bit. All right, so let's go and work with the dream database. So we need to make this abstract class, actually, not a public, but abstract class. So abstract class is basically what it means. I mean, abstract, right? So what does the abstract means, right? Abstract means, say you have a dog called say, I don't know, uh, John or something like that. I don't know. I hope nobody's named John in this class, but I'm not. Anyway, so dog called John, right? But dog is an abstract class, right? We don't have a thing called dog in this world. We have a specific dog, right? In the same way, this class is an abstract class. This database is abstracted. It's so that's basically what an abstract class is, right? So that means it cannot be instantiated, and it is only meant to be extended by other class, right? So for example, if John wants to be a dog, then you can just extend it, right? It can just be a parent class. So basically that what it means, right? And now we also need to add this room signature here again, database, and then we need to say like entities equals to dream class. Remember, we just created these two dream and dream entry class, right? So this is basically just pulling those things up over here, version 1, right? So this is all that this is doing. Hold on. And version 1. So what is the error here? Dream class dream entry. What is this saying? Something is expected. Int value. Entities equals dream class. This is how I'm supposed to call it, right? So what's happening here? Hold on. Just give me a second. I don't know what this is doing here. What is it saying? Maybe the Gradle file did not sync here properly. Null pointer Java lang object. Maybe I need to import something here. Hold on. Maybe I need to import the room database, maybe. Yeah, I think I might need to import the room database here. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I think what you need to do is remember this database, this dream class and this dream entry class, it's in a different package, right? It's the database package is separate from this dream class and dream entry. So we need to make sure we import the package, right? So what we need to do is I'm just going to copy and paste. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. I hope that fixes that. What's happening here? This is very, very strange. Oh no, there is maybe that's causing the issue. This is quite strange. Oh, what am I doing here? This is not Java. This is Kotlin, right? Okay, welcome to live coding. It does happen. I'm not ashamed of this. Let's move on, right? It happens, all right? So this does happen when you're doing live coding. So let me delete this stuff. Okay, so let's start with this. Sorry about that. Abstract. I explained to you guys what an abstract is. Abstract cannot be instantiated, but it can be extended by other classes. It's an abstract thing, like I gave an example of dog, right? Or you say like a circle. Um, yeah, anyways, it's an abstract idea, right? I mean, it has to be extended by some specific class, basically, right? It has to be extended. So basically, that's what it's done. Now we need to do, what we need to do is call the database, and then we need to add the entities. Entities, we need to add the dream class, dream, which is in another package. So we need to import that first, and then we'll say class, and then we will say dream entry, import that as well, class, and then you'll have version 1. So that's good so far, hopefully. And yeah, so let me just version 1. So this version 1 has to do with the migration I shared with you guys about regarding database schema management. Please research this on your own. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but if you use any kind of you've done any kind of web development, then I think this is definitely going to be helpful, right? This is going to be, yeah, it's going to make sense, right? So that's all I'm going to do right now here, dream database. So we created, so this is the thing that's going to manage your database, right? So let's create more stuff here. One thing I told you guys, it cannot have the date and time. It only has a primitive data types like the text and in the integer and other stuff. So what we're going to create is we're going to create the dream type converters. Basically, we're going to convert the date. We're going to convert the date. Here's in here. It's called dream type converters. I hope I'm typing this correctly. Dream type converters. And then what I'm gonna do here, this, and this is what we're gonna do here in the dream converter. So this should be able to convert, should be able to convert from SQLite to Kotlin and vice versa. So what's happening with this database stuff is we're making stuff that's interacting with the Kotlin and interacting with the database. So we should be able to interact with this vice versa, right? So let's and you have to give the signature type converter here. type converter. So let's create a function get date. Why are we doing that, right? Because we have this date here called the last updated, right? That has to be able to be converted. So we need to have like get date from long, and then we're going to add milliseconds, I think, which is going to be a long, and then we're going to convert that to the Kotlin date. So this is basically interacting with Kotlin here. I think it's java.util.date. So remember, this is java util.date, not the other one. So we're going to return date, basically has this function that converts that millisecond into the date, right? Also, you need to be able to convert get long from date. So you need to be able to get long from date, and then we'll just say date. Then when you get the date, you just need to pass the long, right? So what we're going to do is return date.time. So basically, this is what you need for this room, right? For this database, right? So I'll show you guys how this is used. So now what you're going to basically say is, for this database, you need this type converter, right? So what is this type converter? This is going to be dream type converters dot class. So that's the type converter you are going to be using. What is this saying? Converters. And you need to import this. All right, so that's what you need to do here, right? So another thing the book tells you, is you need to make this thing called data access object called DAO, which we talked about. And we need to create this thing called, let's create this actually. Dream. There's a lot of moving parts in this lecture, all right? So please feel free to watch this lecture a couple of times if it doesn't make sense to you. But everything at the end, it will connect. And I think everything will make sense at the end, right? So let's create this Dream DAO. And this is going to be significant, right? So this Dream DAO is going to be significant because it's going to be the interface between database and Kotlin. So everything that's happening, like communication between Kotlin and the database, is going to be happening through this, right? So it's going to be very, very significant. And this is actually not a class. It's going to be an interface. It's going to be an interface. And then we're going to call like that, this DAO, right? This is what you need. In this room, you call this something called data access object, right? So now we're going to create some functions in this DAO, right? So, and now we spend a few minutes in this DAO, right? But just give me 1 minute here. I just need to, just give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. Let me share my screen one more time. I hope you can see my Android Studio. So this DAO, we need to do several things in this DAO. Let's start with some of the things that we need to do here in this DAO, right? So in this DAO, basically, you will be able to query things, right? If you've done SQL, I'm not going to go too much into SQL today, but I'll teach you guys the basics here, right? So say, for example, we need a list of dreams. Say we need need list of dreams mapped with their respective entries, right? So we need this, right? To do this, what we're gonna do is a thing called query. So we talked about this as well. We're gonna query something. This is like a database command, right? So we're gonna do something like select, and this asterisk means all. So if you have done SQL database, if you haven't done SQL, please go and maybe Google what SQL queries are, right? But I'm just gonna give you the basics. So select all from dream, and then it's gonna name dream as D. So basically what this is just saying is from this dream database, um, from this dream database called D, it's gonna name this dream database called D. Then join, we need to use the join operation. We also need the dream entry. E, it's gonna be called E, on E dot dream ID equals D dot, so this D is basically the same D, and this E is basically, so the dream D dot dream ID dot D dot ID, we need that, right? So this is basically, that's what it's saying here. So basically what this operation is going to give us is a multi-map, right? Which I'm going to show you guys what it's going to give. But basically this is going to give us a list. Sorry, not a list, but it's going to give us the map of all the dream along with this list dream entry. So this is the query going to do, but we need it in a particular order, right? So we're going to order it by the dot last updated. So we're going to use the last updated here. So if in a descending order, that means like if it was updated recently, then it's going to be at the top of the list, right? So this is, and then we're going to do it by the descending order, right? So that's what we're going to do. Now, this is the SQL, right? So we need a relative Kotlin for this, right? So we're going to do suspend function. So what is this suspend? So again, this lecture has a lot of moving parts. I hope you rewatch this, but this suspend basically is the background thread that we talked about. It's being created for the database. So if you're making some operation in the database, then it is going to run on a separate thread, right? So that's why we need the suspend. And then we're going to say get dreams, and then this is what this operation is going to, this operation is going to return us a map. Remember, a map. What is that map going to have? It's going to have a dream, and then that dream, actually we need to import this dream first, and then that's going to have a list of dream entry. Okay, hope this makes sense. Just think this is called multi-map in, again, like I said, this this lecture has a lot of moving parts, just have some patience. I think everything is gonna make sense. This is how we deal with join. So if you have a join, then this is basically gonna map this dream with the list of dream entry, right? Because this one dream will have multiple dream IDs, one to many relationships, right? One dream will have multiple dreams. So that's what it's doing so far. Okay, so this is what this is doing so far. And okay, so this makes sense, right? So far. And and what we want next is we want, if someone passes, this is for dream detail, all right? If someone passes a dream ID, we need to get one dream with its list of dream entries. So if someone passes you like a dream ID 1234 or something like that, we need to get a dream associated with that along with the dream entry. This is just for one dream. This is for everything, right? This is for the list, dream list. This will send you all the dreams, right? And all is list to the main dream list fragment, right? This is what we need it for. But this is for individual dream, for the dream detail, right? So how do we do that? So for this, we need to use something called transaction, basically because we cannot do it at one swoop. So we need to do two different queries, because two different queries, and then we need to tie it together, right? So what do I mean by that? So let's work through this, and then it will make sense. Select from dream. So it's just saying select all from whatever is from dream, where ID, this is what we need, and then this is the ID that has been passed to us. So equals ID. Why is this saying it's wrong here? What is the issue here? Cannot resolve with you know what, let's just keep on going. This will make sense, I think. I think this will be done after we get the ID here. Fun internal. So we're gonna call it internal here, right? We're gonna call it, it doesn't matter whatever you name, but we're gonna call it internal because this is only gonna be called from this function, dream DAO. We're not gonna use it from outside. So we'll just call it internal get dream. And this ID, remember this ID is actually gonna come from here. So ID dot UUID. So now I think this error hopefully vanishes away. Still hasn't. What's going on here? Select asterisk from dream where ID equals ID. Why is this giving me an error? Let's just keep on working with this, all right? I think at some point, hopefully, that fixes it. Okay, now it's done. So I typed too fun here, right? So that was the mistake. So this is basically going to take that ID and get the dream from the database with that ID. That's all that is doing. But we need dream along with its dream entry, right? So we're going to have to get the dream entries as well. You're going to do select asterisk. That means all from dream entry table where dream ID equals dream ID. And again, we don't have the dream ID right now. Suspend fun internal. Again, we're going to name it internal because we're not going to call it from outside. Get entries for dream. And then we're going to pass the dream ID. And then it's going to be a UUID as well. So now and then that's going to give us the list of dream entry, right? So that's going to give us so that's the SQL query for these two. Now we're going to have to, since this SQL is very basic, SQLite, that's the problem with this. It cannot do like this operation at once. We need to call something called transaction that will help us do both this operation at once, right? So we need to call this transaction, suspend function, get dream and entries, right? We're going to get both. So this is the function that's going to be called from the Kotlin classes, right? From the dream detail, UUID, and then it is going to give us a single dream. So here what we're going to do is we're going to return internal get dream ID and then apply. So here we can use the Kotlin operation entries dot entries equals to internal get entries for dream, and then you pass this ID. And that's it. This should give you, so these are the two functions you're going to use. This is first function you will use from outside. And this is another function you'll use, right, from outside. And these two functions are just going to be used internally by these internal get dream and internal get dream entries, right? So that's all this is doing. This is all that is doing so far. Let me drink some water here. All right, so this is all this is doing. Now we need to add this dream DAO inside the dream. We need to add this dream DAO inside the dream database. We should let it know that all the operation is going to happen here. So this room thing makes everything very easy. Now we can just say this is automatically connect our database to dream DAO, right? So this is going to automatically connect this. So now we're going to do connect. So we're going to say abstract fun dream DAO. And how does this know this is a DAO? Because it's given a signature here, right? The dream DAO. So that's signatures are very important while we're working with this, right? Make sure everything is correct. Dream DAO, right? So again, I hope I've done everything right so far. I want to be very careful here because this is very sensitive, right? Everything has to be done in the right order, and otherwise it's going to cause issues. So make sure everything is done correctly. Dream DAO, okay. So we have finished creating these 3 database files. In the main package, we will create this thing called, now in the main package, we need to create, and this is all done in the book, but the book only has 1 table, right? It doesn't have 2 table like dream entry and the dream. So it does make it a little bit challenging. I don't think it had the transaction like we did here. I don't think it used this transaction or anything like that, right? Which I basically gave you away the answer. And I think it's in the assignment page as well, but I just showed you guys how to do it. So you guys should be able to do it now. So now we will create this thing called dream repository, which is going to be the repository pattern, right? You are going to hear some fancy word here. It's going to be a dream, which is basically a repository pattern, which is a singleton, right? So what do I mean by that, right? It sounds very fancy. I think we forgot to do something here. Hold on. See, this is why we need to be careful here. It's very sensitive. Okay, it's an extension of the room database. I need to make sure. Otherwise, this is not going to work database. Yeah, I was wondering why this is doing everything without the room. Now it makes sense. Okay. We need to do this. Now, hopefully this all works. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so I think this is good so far. Dream repository. Most of the so 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 this dream repository is what it's going to be used. It's going to be an abstraction through which the classes in the Kotlin are going to access the database, right? So we're going to create this, and you will see the benefit of this, right? I'm going to create this, and you guys are going to see the benefit of working with the Dream repository, which uses the repository pattern, right? So let's finish this as well, right? First of all, we need the name of the database. So this is basically the file we're going to access, database name. This is the file name we're going to access. It's going to be called Dream database. We're going to connect it in a little bit. Just bear with me, all right? So we're going to do Dream database, and then it's going to take a parameter called context. It's basically where is it running from, right? Basically, which activity or what is the context? Where is it running from? That's the context. And then we're going to create a database, member variable here, database called Dream database. We want to connect this with the Dream database. And basically, we're going to say room dot database builder, because remember this is the database that this is connected to the DAO, and this is and also the type converters, right? So this is what we want to connect to. We're gonna build this. We're gonna pass the context, which is basically where is this running from, right? Dream. We have used context in the previous lectures. This is basically where is the code coming from. Dream database dot class Java, and the last thing we need the database name, which is the file we're gonna upload soon. And then this is not gonna cut it. We're gonna do create from asset. We're gonna pass the database name, and then that's where it's gonna import it from, right? So this is basically if there is no database by and you'd like to create by default. So for example, like if there's no database, which there is not, I mean, there's no database here in this Dream database, we need to create it from, we need to create a default, then it's going to pull from this file name, right? Which we're going to create soon. And then we're going to say build. So basically this is going to fetch the data from the database, given the context, from using this pattern, basically, to simplify this. And then remember in project see, we use this thing called companion object, which is basically like a static. If you remember this static, like in Java. I'm not going to teach you guys what this is, but basically, this is going to be the same for every single object. Basically, if I call this from dream entry detail view model or dream list fragment, wherever it calls from, it's going to be the same, right? It's not going to change. So here we're going to do a private var instance. We're going to create an instance. And this is what a singleton is, right? Instance of this is we are going to call this dream repository from here, and we'll only have one instance, right? We don't want people to create 10 different instances of this database, right? We only want one instance, and everything to be fetched from this instance, fetched or pulled or pushed from this one instance, right? So this is what a repository pattern is, right? It's basically creating this singleton here, basically this one single instance of this dream repository. Otherwise, you can't create it, right? You can't just create this dream repository here. And then you're gonna say dream repository, and it's gonna be null in the beginning. Initialize, and you will see we'll use this initialize function pretty soon. Basically, this is gonna initialize this database. How do I initialize it? First of all, we're gonna check if instance is equals to null. If it's not null, then we're gonna say cannot initialize. So you see the benefit of this pattern. Basically, we cannot initialize this thing more than once. By any class, it can only be initialized once, because you don't want people initializing this very sensitive database from 300 different places, right? It only can be initialized from one place here. Initialize repository more than once. That's all it's gonna do. And then if it passed that check, then if it is not been created once, then we're gonna say dream repository, and then we're gonna pass the context, which is given here, right, in this initialize, and you will see what this context is pretty soon. And then we're gonna do fun get dream repository, and then this get, you will see we'll actually gonna return this instance dream repository to do certain things, right? And you will see what those certain things are. So just have faith right now. This is all going to connect at the end. We just need to keep on working with this, right? We need to check if it's not null. And if it's null, then if people try to access this without initializing it, then it has to be initialized, right? If you want to give the message saying dream repository must be initialized, otherwise it's not going to work. Otherwise, this is not going to work. All right, so this is, we created this singleton repository pattern using repository pattern for dream repository, which can only be initialized once for every single classes, right? And then you can get that to do several operations, right? So that's what we did here. So now let's move on. Oh boy, this is going to be a long lecture, isn't it? So how do we get this context, right? Okay, everything is good, but how do we get this context, right? We're going to use the approach that the book uses, the BNRG uses. We're going to create this thing called Dreamcatcher application, which is going to be an application type, right? So let's create this, right? So we're going to go here and create, this is what the book does, Dreamcatcher application. And what this application basically in a nutshell is doing is basically, this is going to run every single time this app opens up, right? So we just need to create this dream catcher, this, right? And then what we're going to do is it's going to be an extension of application. Yeah, it's going to be Android app application. And then we're going to have to initialize this. And this is going to be the context. Basically, every time an app opens, this is basically going to run on the background. And once it runs on the background, it's going to be able to access this database. All right, so that's all this is doing, right? So now here what we're going to do is we're going to create onCreate function. And after this is created, of course, we're going to use the super.onCreate, and then we're going to initialize the dream repository.initialize. Remember, this static function can be accessed from anywhere, but it's going to be the same for every single classes, right? It can only be access the same thing. So we're going to initialize with this, basically means through this Dreamcatcher application, right? So what this is going to do is now we have context for the database, which is this Dreamcatcher application. All right, so we need to run this Dreamcatcher every single time the application runs. So what we're going to do is going to go to the Android manifest here, and then we're going to simply add, I think we just need to add one thing here. We're going to say Android name dot Dreamcatcher application. This is all we're going to do. So that what this basically does is after the application opens, it's going to automatically open this, and this repository is going to be initialized basically automatically. This is all that it's doing here, right? Hopefully everything is making sense so far. I see 11 students right now. Some students got bored and left the class, I think. They're probably like, I'm just going to have to watch this some other time. All right, so let's keep on going, right? So there's a lot of moving parts here. So now we can go to the Dream repository and add some functions. So let's go to the Dream repository. We need some functions here so that the other Kotlin classes like this Dream detail fragment or list fragment or something, they can access this from the database, right? So let's do this, and then we need to use this using the suspend function. We need to work this with the suspend functions, right? Because suspend does all the work in the background thread, as I explained before. So now let's go here and make a couple of functions. First of all, we're going to make a function that gets an individual dream. So we're just going to get one dream, ID, UUID, and then this is going to get the dream. We're going to have to return a dream. So we're going to go to return, and then see this database was initialized, right? This dream database that does everything. So we need to return database, not this database, but this database dot DreamDAO. So see, this is connected to DreamDAO dot get dream and entries, and then you need to pass the ID. What this is basically doing is going to this DreamDAO, and then it's calling this get dream and entries function, and then that's basically gonna get your dream. That's gonna give you your individual dream along with the dream entry. This is for the dream detail, right? So the dream, this is for individual dream. So now we need to do something like this. This is going to be a little bit tricky, but please bear with me. For all the list dreams, that means all the dreams, the list of all the dreams. This is going to be a little bit tricky, but we'll go through this together. So what we're going to do is so remember, this gives, where is that? So many things here right now. Let me close all this stuff. Remember, this will give you a map, right? But we don't want a map. We want a list, right? How do I convert this map into a list, right? So that's the problem here. So dream map is going to basically give us all the dream list with as a map, and then we're going to DreamDAO.get dreams, and then returns a multi-map, right? Returns a multi-map as shown before. But what we're going to do is we're going to use some Kotlin conversion functions. So what we're going to do is we're going to return a dream map dot keys. So first of all, we need to get the key from that. How do I do that? And then this will just give me all the keys. That's going to give me the dream, basically the individual, it's going to loop through the individual dreams. And then from that individual dream, I need to apply these entries to it, right? And then entries is going to be dream get value. Remember, in map, we have done map in Java. Map has two things, right? It has map and sorry, key and value. To get that value, we need to pass the key, right? But the key for this is the dream, because in this multi-map, what is the key? Dream is the key, and then the list is going to be, or dream is going to be the value, right? So how do I get that? It's through this, right? So this is basically going to give me a list of dreams. So this conversion is going to give me the list of keys, right? So remember this is a little bit tricky, but I hope it made sense, right? If not, you can Google this. How did I do this? Just Google this. So this is for all the dreams. Basically, that's what he's doing. All right, so, oh boy, we did a lot of stuff. Let me drink some water here again. I think we're going to be a little bit late today. Okay. All right, so our list is coming from dream list view model. So our list is coming from, let's go to that, right? Let's go to the dream list view model, right? So our list is coming from this stuff, right? But we don't want this. This is hard-coded stuff, right? We don't want this. We want all our dreams to be loaded from the repository now, right? So let's delete all this stuff now. We don't need, it had his purpose, but now this has to go. This has to be deleted. So now what we're gonna get is the dream list. Let's remove this as well. We're gonna create a private val repository, and that repository is going to be dream repository. Remember, we already initialized the dream repository, right? Where did we initialize this from? We initialized it from the Dreamcatcher application. But now, after it's initialized, we need to get this, right? Let's get this repository. It can only be from there, right? So we're going to get that dream repository, and from there, we're going to load all the dreams. And again, remember, suspend has to be done because it's running on the background thread. So all the function that's calling the database has to use the suspend function, right? So load dreams, and then we're going to do list dream. You need a list of dream, right? How do I get that? We're going to do return repository that has the function get dreams. If you go to dream repository, we are just doing, where is that? Get dreams, right? We're just calling this get dreams. And then that is basically going to call all the dreams here for you, right? The load dreams is going to get all of that, right? So now, if you go to, okay, so there's another thing we need to do now. Let's go to dream list fragment. Now, if you go there, this is going to give you some issues, right? Because it's calling vm.dreams. First of all, we don't have any dreams right now here, right? We need to call the load dream function. And second of all, it is using the suspend function, right? So it is calling from a background thread, right? So to fix this, right? To fix this, we need to use this thing called, what is this called? Where is that? This is dream list fragment, right? We're going to have to use this thing called coroutine. So now to do this, simply just trust the process. This is what you're going to be using in this class. It's going to be called a coroutine. This is basically going to handle all your background thread. You don't have to create your own thread like I did in my undergrad from scratch, which was quite painful, but we did it. And then launch it. And basically what this is doing is this is going to run as long as the view is available in view life cycle. View is available, this is going to run. As long as the view is in the foreground, this is going to run. This is basically what it's saying, right? Then we're going to have to launch that. And then we're going to call something called, view lifecycle owner dot repeat repeat on lifecycle dot state dot started. And then here you're going to have to call this here an adapter, and instead of saying dreamlist, you're just going to say vm dot load dreams. Basically now this is going to run. So what is this doing, right? Basically there's a lot of things happening here. So this, let's go on to it. So we do not want to launch this coroutine at once here, right? We want to make sure that it is always launched. So every time there is a new view, we want to relaunch what is happening, right? So every time you go from a background to a foreground, we want to know what's happening, right? So this is what it's doing. So just to simplify this, right, to give you more context what this is doing. Basically, you need these two blocks, right? But basically what this is doing is this block launches a coroutine tied to the fragment's life cycle, right? So it ties itself to the fragment's life cycle. Specifically, this repeat on cycle dot started, it ensures that collection only happens when the fragment is at least in the started state, right? Remember those activity states that we studied, on created, on started, at least it has to be on the started state, right? So this is what it's saying. And this collection is automatically paused when the fragment is stopped. So now this will stop, this life cycle will stop when it's stopped, right? It navigates away. This prevents leaks and improves performance, right? This is basically what it's doing. But basically, remember, these two are the things you need so to handle the suspend functions or the background routine. Anyway, so that's what this is doing. This is what that is doing, right? So I think this, now we need to add the database. Let's add the database file, which I got here, this database. We need to add the asset folder, right? So how do I do that? We need to go to this app and we need to select new, and we're going to have to, remember, click on this app, right? Not on the other one, new. And then we're going to have to click the folder and then the assets folder, right? And create a source, root, target, source set, change. I think this should work. So remember, this gave us these assets, right? This is where we're going to be keeping, this is where we're going to keeping this, this database, right? So now let's copy and paste this. Let's copy and paste it here. Dream database. Because remember, if you go back all the way back to Dream DAO, or not even in Dream DAO, Dream database, Dream repository, this is calling this database name, which is Dream database, right? Here, this is opening this, right? So this is opening from this assets, right? Remember, it's from create from asset, right? So this is basically opening that. Okay, I hope this is making sense so far. A lot of stuff, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. Okay, let's try running this app right now. Let's see, where is activity main? It should be in the dream list. And hopefully this works. Hopefully this works. A lot of stuff here. Let's run the code here, right? Hopefully this works. It should give us the thing from the database now. Hopefully, if everything works, I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna do a little jig, which you guys won't see because you guys are online right now. But I'm dancing a little bit. I'll be dancing if it works. All right, there's a lot of stuff here, right? Okay, this works. All right, this is great. All right, this works. Perfect. All right, I would have been very disappointed if this didn't work after doing all that work. So this works. This is coming from the database. This is coming from this stream database file. And then, so yeah, this is working, right? So let's see what we can do with this, right? So this is working. Actually, I want to show you guys something cool. So you go to app inspection. If you guys go to the app inspection here, you can see, what is this? Okay, if you go to this app inspection, you can see this database here. You see the stream database with these two tables, right? And then you see the dream here. Let's go to a dream, right? It says learn mobile app, right? And then if I do change here, say development, add it here. See, this didn't change it automatically here, right? It should have changed it here. But now once I rotate it, now it changed it to learn mobile app development, right? So we don't want this. We want this operation to be smoother. Basically, after we change it here, it should immediately be able to show this as Dream mobile app development here, right? But it didn't do that. So we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that using something called flow. Okay, so let me flip this here. and put this away. So it should have changed immediately. It didn't do that, right? So we need to fix that, right? How do we make sure that the changes are shown immediately? So to be able to do this, we need to add the flow, and we have to start making changes from Dream DAO. So what is a flow, right? The book talks about it. A flow is an active live connection to the database where if the database change is made, we'll get an immediate update to it. It is asynchronous and behind the scenes. Also, we need to remove the suspend function and when we add the flow, right? So let's go and so I just let's start working on this, right? We need to start working on this from all the way. So I wrote all this code and then I'm gonna mess it up now, right? So this is not the end. I'll have to change a bunch of things, and then you guys are gonna yeah. So basically, you guys are gonna have to change a lot of this stuff. That was just to show you guys how to connect the database, but that's not what you guys are gonna be doing, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a flow here. Flow. And I think it's the coroutine one. Let me go to the Dream DAO. Yeah, so it's gonna be, there are several flow, right? Remember, be careful with this. Hold on. Be careful. You need to select the one with the Kotlin X coroutine dot flow. Yes, so that's the one you want to use, not the other ones, right? You have to be very careful with that. And then add this thing that get dreams, you need to add the flow here. That's the first thing. Yeah, so that's good. It's still going to return you the multi-map, but it's going to have this additional overhead of this flow, right? So I'm going to explain what this is doing. Now we need to go to this Dream repository and fix some stuff here a little bit. Oh yeah, so this is not going to work because we're not getting the multi-map anymore. We're getting the something from the flow, right? So what we're going to do basically is going to change a little bit here. Return Dream map. Let's just say Dream multi-map flow. And then this is going to get us the dreams. And we're going to use this Dream multi-map flow dot map. And this is basically going to give you this one dream map. And then we're going to basically copy and paste this stuff now, because this has this one additional layer here. I think it should work. Why is this not working? Let me make this from scratch. I'm not sure exactly. Return dream multi-map flow dot map. And then we'll do dream map. It's going to give us this one dream map. And then from that map, we'll get the keys dot map. Oh, I see. We also need to make this as a flow of the list. So we need to make it a flow again. And then import it. Import class coroutine. So yes, it's going to be from the coroutines, right? So that's why it was giving the issue. So the map and then dream. It's the same thing that you did. Dream dot apply. You're going to have to apply and add the entries as well, like we did the last time. Entries dream map dot get value. Okay, so this is how you need to change it. Basically, we added this extra. Where did it go? There's so many things here. Let me remove some of these things that we're not going to use anymore. Gonna remove that fragment activity main. We don't need that. So basically here from the Dream DAO, since this is getting this flow stuff, we need to return the list as a flow here, right? So this is what we did here, basically. Okay, so that makes sense, right? So that returns a flow of a list, right, of dreams. And then we need to go to the dream list view model. And here we're gonna also say flow. So once we change one thing, it has to change everything, all right? And then we're gonna say flow, and then yeah, so this should give us no issues now since it's flow. Ultimately, we're gonna change the dream list fragment. So now this is giving you some issues. To be able to launch the flow, so since it's dynamic, it's doing changing, it's getting the stuff in real time. We need to do load dreams dot collect. So this every time some change has been made to the stream, it's gonna collect this immediately, basically asynchronously. And this is really cool, right? So we're gonna just do dream. It's gonna get dreams. And now here we're just gonna add this. And then instead of this load dream, we're just gonna pass the dreams. All right, so this should fix it, right? So basically what we did was we changed the dream DAO, added the flow. There was a purpose for adding the flow. The reason we're doing the flow is because, oh, we are way over time. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep on going. I know there are 2 or 3 students left. I'm just gonna keep on going and I'm gonna record this and put it on Course Gallery. I'm almost done. So we changed it here and then we changed it. We are at 3:22. Sorry, the time just passed by so quickly as I was just programming this. All right, so DreamDAO, we made the flow of this, and then we changed this in the repository. We changed this in the view model, and then we have to collect this here. If there's any changes, it's gonna immediately notice it, and then change this in the adapter here, right? So that's what it's gonna pass to the adapter now. So basically, that's all that is doing. I hope this. Let's try running this again. I hope this works. What is this saying? That's not good. I hope this works. KSP DAO function should. Oh, okay. So let's look at it. I might have made a mistake here. I think I might have to remove this suspend. Hold on. I think I made a small mistake here. Okay, here, Dream DAO. We need to remove the suspend. Since this is flow, I just need to remove the suspend. And I think I need to remove the suspend from, yeah, I'm glad this cut this otherwise. Remove the suspend. We don't need the suspend anymore since this is, why is this complaining? Hold on. Oh, okay. Let's do one step at a time. Repository. Here we need to remove the suspend again. And then repository, we need to remove the suspend. Okay. This can get very tricky. This live coding business can be very, very tricky. Now let's run this one more time. I hope this works. All right, this works, right? So let's go to app inspection. So we will see what is the advantage of using this so what's happening here? So let's go to the dream and then let's remove this development that I added here, right? So let me add learn mobile app development. Let's press enter. Now you see this immediately changed, right? From learn mobile app to learn mobile app development, right? So this is what the flow does, is it's gonna keep on collecting here. It's gonna keep on collecting and notice any changes in the dream. And this thing is gonna asynchronously change the database in the background. And then this is gonna just make sure that this changes, right? So we're just gonna do one more thing. There's one more issue with this code. There's one more issue. You might be saying, oh, professor, you just keep on giving issues, keep on having issues. But but this is the way to learn it. I mean, I'm just showing you guys step by step. So maybe say you want like say app inspection. Let's say I'll just say Amoon here or something like that, right? And you want the data from the database. And again, what you can do is you can delete this app, right? So if you delete this app, then it will fetch the database, the database from the beginning again. So basically, how do I delete this app, right? Oops. If I click on this app info, uninstall, okay, I'll just remove this app, right? And then that's going to delete the database. It has all these caches and everything. Now this is turned off, right? So let me run this app again, and it's going to get a fresh database for us again. Hopefully this works. Again, you see, it got the fresh data from the database, right? So, but there's one more issue, right? Every time you're changing, say I put Amoon here or Learn mobile app, and any changes here, it's going to directly affect the database here. We don't want that, right? We want it to be cached somewhere so that it doesn't keep on going back and forth to the database, right? That's why this book uses something called the state flow, right? So we don't want it to fetch fresh from the dream database.file, right? We don't want it to do that. Every time it's collecting here, I don't want it to go back to all the way to the database, right? So to fix that, we're going to add something called a state flow. We see one problem, right? So or basically like another problem that is if we do like a rotate here, it's going to fetch the data again from the database. And if I rotate back again, it's going to fetch the data again. So this is a problem, right? This is a not a good problem to have. It's very slow. So how do we optimize this, right? We're going to introduce called state flow, starting a dream list view model. And we're going to create a mutable state, which is now going to cache the dream instead of immutable state we had earlier, right? So we had an immutable state, but now we're going to create a mutable state for the dream. So how do I do that? Let me remove this. And that's the last thing we're going to do. And I'm going to call it a day, right? This was a long lecture, but these things had to be covered, unfortunately. Or fortunately, it's going to be good for you guys when you do the assignments to learn all these things in detail, right? Like you learn all the behind the scenes of what's happening here. Mutable, we're going to use this thing called mutable state flow. Mutable state flow, and then it's going to have the list. Not going to use the flow anymore. We're going to use the mutable state flow. Which is basically it can be changed. This was immutable. That means it cannot be changed. It cannot be cached, but this can be cached, right? So we're going to do mutable state flow, and then we're going to start with the empty list first. Yeah, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll let you guys read the book. I'm already gone like 15 minutes over time. Mutable state flow. And then we're going to create, so we created a backing variable, right? So this is a backing variable, val. Hold on. Where is the stream list view model, right? And then we're going to get a private val. We're going to get a val, which is not private dreams. And we're going to get the value from here. Like we did, remember, for the binding, we create a backing variable and we get this from after this changes. If there's any changes, we're going to use that change to put this in the streams, right? So this is private, but this can be changed, right? So basically what this is doing is dreams that the backing variable can change, but dreams cannot change. Dreams is immutable, but this can be changed. It's immutable. This is where it's going to cache it, right? So this is what the book does, but dream is mutable. So this is mutable. This is mutable. So we don't want it to change directly from here. We're going to change it at here. Let me show you guys. So that's what we've done. And then when we initialize this, we're gonna remove all this stuff now. When we initialize this thing, we're gonna just launch view model scope launch, and then we're just gonna say repository dot get dreams dot collect, not count, collect, and it's gonna be dreams dot value equals to it. So basically, this is gonna collect it from the database, and this is gonna change this dreams. And when this changes, this change, right? And then this is immutable, this is mutable, and basically this is caching all your dreams. This is all this is doing, and this is gonna make this code, this project way more optimized, right? So it's not fetching from the database. Actually, I think I haven't done everything. Sorry, let me close this. I think this should give us an error. Yes, there is an error here. We need to fix that. So basically this is done. In Dreamlist view model, we basically created a mutable stateful as the book recommends, which is basically going to cache your dreams. So now here we need to change this, right? We cannot say load dreams anymore because we have the dreams. We only have, we need to call this dreams, which is a mutable thing, but this dreams is immutable, right? So we call the dreams collect dreams binding dot recycle. Yeah. So let's pass this. Hopefully this works. And so now you see this is working, right? This will help us collect from the view model as mutable dreams instead of going to the database now. So what we did, the changes we made here, it's not going to the database every single time. Basically, it's caching your dreams basically as the app is running, right? And instead of going to the database every single time, right? Of course, we want to go to the database when we do the operations like insert, delete, different things. But this is what it's doing. So you're not going to see a lot of difference in the front end, but it does optimize a lot of things, right? So you don't see it right now. This is definitely much more faster. And now this is the same thing, right? It's not going back to the database. All right, I think that's it. I mean, this was a long lecture. This was very long lecture, but that's, I think, your project phase one for project 2B. So I hope that helps. You guys have any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to stop. I went way over time today, but I'm going to record this and put it on Canvas. Any questions? If not, I'm going to move on and stop recording. All right, no questions. I'm going to stop recording. And then